Hello, welcome to Old Trafford United WFC.
Hello, welcome to Old Trafford United WFC. What a crazy week this has been. We're nearly there. It's nearly match day. We've content this week, absolutely pushing them out, but it's been a good week. And today it's all about Old Trafford because that's where our venue is this Sunday. So I've got some Old Trafford regulars with me because it would be pointless to have a show with three people who have never been to Old Trafford before. So I've got three people, including myself, who have been quite regular. Alexi, welcome to the channel. It's your first time, obviously, on the WFC channel. Your first time, obviously, there on Sunday. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it on Sunday, actually. Been trying to go for ages to a women's game, and life has got in the way a bit. I was meant to go to that City one with you a few weeks ago, but things happened. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's quite a strange thing, actually, for me going. Because I go every week and sit in pretty much the same seat every week and watch the men's team every week. It's quite nice being able to go and watch a different team, even though it's still United, a slightly different team. Because I'm just so fed up of watching the same crap from the men's team every week, essentially. So it'll be nice to actually see something different and something a bit unknown to me as well. I'm quite excited. Just to see like what it's all about and stuff. It's something new, something different, and that's needed because. Especially as the men's side is kind of like the season is pretty much over. It's nice to have something still to kind of get excited about as well.
Yeah, definitely. We'll dive into that in a bit more detail in a bit later in terms of what to expect in terms of first occasions. But Andrew, welcome back. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all good. Looking forward to Sunday and being at Old Trafford. Feeling a bit strange going to Old Trafford and it's going to be the women's team, not the men's team. So, but I say like last season. They were at Old Trafford, but there was no fans inside, so it's going to be a bit extra special Sunday for those players to see us fans inside, to watch them as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to open up with just a very simple question. I think it is the title on the thumbnail in terms of what does Old Trafford mean to you then? Obviously, you two are both season ticket holders. I'm a member. I used to go quite a lot. Obviously, I've not been too much this season to the men's side, not as much as I'd like anyway. I'll just ask you both that question first, and Alexi, if I ask you that question in terms of what does Old Trafford mean to you, where do you think you'd start with that answer?
Yeah, it's the way I'd describe it is it's kind of a medium of escape from everyday stuff, because I think the most important thing about it really for people is you have 75,000 or however many are in there, and everyone else has had stuff going on in their week and even in their day that might be good, might be bad. But I don't know, you just go in there and you kind of forget about everything for 90 minutes and you go home. And I don't know, it's just really special. And I think, I mean, I'm like when I first got my season ticket, I still had the kind of novelty, especially post lockdown. But I think the best moment is like obviously when you first go ever. That's amazing. But I think when I'm there, I never take it for granted properly because I just kind of get clouded by the on pitch performances now. But it's when there's a few weeks where we can't go, I'm like, oh, I miss it again. You know, it's just really special. It's a really special place. It's the biggest stadium in England, you know, and it's really quite important to a lot of people. And I think it's helped a lot of people, and especially in the COVID era, that I think a lot of people realised how much they missed it, myself included. You know, I remember at the peak of lockdown, I was thinking like, I wouldn't even just mind going to a League Cup game against like a Stanner or something, you know. Probably not in the League Cup, but in the Europa League or something, you know, against a Stanner, or you know, you really take those things for granted when they're gone. So yeah, it's a brilliant place. It needs a bit of refurb, but it's an amazing place. I wouldn't want any other stadium really, in terms of like I wouldn't want like West Ham Stadium, where like you're really far away from the pitch and all this. You still need the emotion. emotional side of the sport. And I think Old Trafford is that kind of stadium.
Yeah, definitely. And Andrew, just for yourself, before we dive into a bit more detail, the same question to yourself in terms of what does Old Trafford mean to you?
I was going to say Old Trafford, such a special place and steeped in history, and I'd say you feel privileged to, well, I feel privileged, witnessing so many great moments at Old Trafford. Well, as being a season ticket holder, I just think, I feel like it's more than the 90 minutes, though. It's those people who are around you that you share those experiences with as well. So the place where I sit in the South Stand, and I sit next to a couple of people, so I've got to know them, and so we talk about, well, how bad the performances have been this season. But it's like I say, even though it has been so bad, I'd rather be there sharing those experiences, even when the weather's not been so good in Manchester. I'm like, but yeah, obviously, Old Trafford is such a huge stadium. Yes, it does need a bit of work, but I wouldn't there's these rumours going around. There's these three options, one being like demolish it and start again. But I'm like, you can't really do that. You can't destroy all that history. So I just think, yeah, it does need work on it, but I just think Old Trafford is just a magical place. And like for this season example, like witnessing Ronaldo's return, I just felt like it was an I was there moment. I was thinking, and it's like, I'm glad I've got this ticket. I remember that game. The tickets were being touted around for like thousands, people trying to get in. Like, I thought, I'm one of those lucky people. So, and I just think, during when we had the COVID lockdowns, so struggle with lockdowns, and I was like, even though we weren't going, at least United was still on TV, but I was missing it terribly. And I was lucky, the Fulham game where it had reduced capacity, I was one of the lucky 10,000 to be at that game and see Cavani score that worldie of a goal. And I just thought, yeah, it's especially in one way, but I thought if Old Trafford had been full to see that as well, that's why I'm hoping before the end of the season, when Cavani's expected to go, I hope he does score at the Stretford end, because I just want that moment for him to experience that. But yeah, it's just, Old Trafford is just one of those places. It's no place like home is Old Trafford.
I think you both kind of said it in terms of how I would answer it as well. And I think lockdown really hit home. How I said to everybody at the time, everyone was going, "Oh, I miss festivals, or I miss theatres, or I missed it." The one thing I kept saying was stadiums, and stadiums was the last to reopen. Obviously, particularly after the first lockdown, and obviously into the second as well, where we had that whole season behind closed doors. And it was the one thing that I just couldn't wait to get back to was stadiums and Old Trafford. And I was, like you both, I was lucky enough to be at Leeds for the first game of the season. Newcastle, the Ronaldo return. I remember that day from it. I'll come back to that because I'm going to ask you both in terms of your favourite moments of the season and at Old Trafford in general. So I won't talk about that too much at the moment. But yeah, I agree with you both. I think Ellie said it in the comments there. It is a home, and I think, like Andrew said, you get to know the people around you if you're a season ticket holder. If you go with certain people, I always go up with my same mate. We always go up and sit together, and it is that kind of iconic. Where the Trinus statues, the Sir Alex Ferguson stand, and the statue, the Stretford end, these iconic. Talk about the Munich tunnel and everything like that. It's iconic, isn't it, when you go there, and the fact that this women's team are going to get that moment walking out of the tunnel. When they walk out the tunnel for the warm-ups, the reception they'll get, particularly from us over in J-Stand, you'll be able to hear Nat and Anthony from the other side of Manchester. So it's going to be good for them. I just want to come to you, Andrew, before we talk a bit more about Old Trafford in terms of, obviously, me and you go to Leeds Sports Village quite a lot, in terms of what people, if you go to Lee a lot, or if you watch on TV and have seen Leeds Sports Village, what the differences are, obviously, bar the obvious, the size difference. Obviously, it's about 60,000 seats different in terms of capacity. In terms of the different, because I actually think in terms of facilities, Leeds Sports Village is probably not far off what Old Trafford is in terms of the stuff in the concourse. It looks more modern, everything in and around it. It actually seems more of a modern ground in terms of when you go into the stadium. I don't know, what would you say are the kind of main takeaways in terms of the differences from fans that are used to Leeds going to Old Trafford maybe for the first time?
I was going to say, yeah, I sort of agree with that point. Like, how modern it is. I say it's a shame it wasn't a bit more closer to Manchester. Like, I know we got our noisy neighbours at the other side of the city, and they've got the Etihad and then their academy stadium. So I'd like to see something a bit closer towards Old Trafford for the women. So, but in terms of Lee Sports Village, just think obviously the size being the difference, but I just feel like maybe. So with Old Trafford, I know there's been reported now it's like 25,000 tickets, or maybe even more now that have been sold. I just think with Lee Sports Village, I wish we could. At the moment, there's like that divide at the minute, between the South Stand and the North Stand. So I'm like, it's like, why can't we all congregate together and make even more noise? So it's like, I just feel like we're a bit separated at the moment, but I understand why that was COVID, and obviously the players are sitting in between us as well. But yeah, I just think Lee Sports Village is a good stadium. Just transport wise, trying to get to it is a bit difficult unless you've got a car. But I say Old Trafford is more easier to get to. But yeah, it's just, I don't know what United have planned. I know they're trying to upgrade the training facilities, and I don't know whether one part of that is having an actual academy stadium. I don't know whether this is going to be included in the plans for redeveloping Old Trafford, but I'd like to see the women's have a dedicated stadium along with the youth team as well, because I know some of the youth, the men's side, the youth play at LSV as well. So yeah, I just feel like with the LSV, we've just got to get more people in there and the demand for it, and then we could then possibly have more games at Old Trafford. I was thinking, I know with the women's game Sunday, it's being played daytime. I'd love to see if they can have an evening game there, because Old Trafford under the lights, it's another special thing as well. And maybe that could be something for next season. They might decide, we can have it under the lights. It would be something special to see as well.
I really hope so. That's very dependent, obviously, on our last 5 games to the women's team and whether we get Champions League or not for next season. We'd all love that. And I'm not going to make my top 3 predictions here because we spoke about it a lot and it's going to be very, very tight. Alex, just swinging it back to yourself then. What do you expect coming for this Sunday? Because obviously it is going to be a less capacity than normal at Old Trafford. It's not going to be full 75, unfortunately. What do you think is going to be kind of the main differences? Because we're going to try and obviously make the noise like you hear at Old Trafford, particularly obviously in the TRA where you are. We're going to try and make up as much noise as we can. But what do you think is going to be kind of the main differences, bar the obvious, obviously less fans in there? Do you think it will be any different, or do you think are you going there expecting kind of? I don't know, because I'm just intrigued to hear from you, who probably you haven't been to the women's team this season, but you go to Old Trafford regularly. What you're kind of expecting going in? Are you expecting a normal Old Trafford experience, or are you expecting something a little bit different?
No, I think it'll be different, and I kind of hope it is different. It will be different, and I think it will be. There'll probably be a lot of people like myself who aren't completely knowledgeable and are just excited to just watch a football match and learn about the players and everything like that. And I think it will be kind of more of an exciting atmosphere, because obviously with the men's side, where I am, in TRA it's always pretty loud, but you know what you're expecting, you know what you're getting every week, which tends to be a 1-1 draw or a loss. Whereas with this, I'm a lot of my, I've kind of purposely done this now. A lot of my education on the women's side, I'm just going to wait until I watch the game, because I was thinking it will be the first time in a while where I've gone to a game and not had complete knowledge of all the players and stuff. And I kind of just want to look for myself and see who I think is good or whatever. I think that would be a really interesting way of doing it. But yeah, no, I think it will be different, but I think it's good that it will be different. I don't know. I think it might be a bit. There'll definitely be an excited atmosphere. And yeah, hopefully we can get some noise going. I'll bring my TRA voice with me, which honestly only it only just recovered very recently, so I'm bringing it back out. No, I think it's going to be really good, and it will be people who were there who really want to get behind the team and stuff. It won't be as much, because some men's games, remember United Liverpool, because I have to walk past the corporate bit to get in. And it's just so corporate and so many people who aren't even fans of the team. And I think this will just be people who actually want United to win and are interested. So I think, yeah, no, sorry, it was a long-winded answer, but I think it will be different, but I hope it's different, really.
Yeah, Andrew, just same question to yourself, because obviously me and you have followed the team most of the season, home and away, and just what your kind of thoughts are in terms of what you're expecting in terms of differences, because the travelling support, obviously, that we take, particularly in the women's game, is pretty much unheard of. The United away support in particular almost matches the men's support in terms of, following the team home and away, and we do make a lot of noise when we're at LSV. Obviously, I'm sure there is going to be that noise as much as we can, obviously, in J-Stand. But what do you think then in terms of the differences? And do you think that will... Using my voice already. That's not good for Sunday. Just talk to me. Talk to me about the differences while I get my voice.
Probably do. Well, I'd probably see like a lot more families there and with young children, so trying to get them... Maybe it's their first games going to see United, because obviously trying to go to the men's side, it can be quite an expensive day out. So for the women's side, I think the tickets only, is it £3 or something like that. I think that's for adults and children. I think under 16s. I remember getting an email from United saying all under 16s might be able to come in free as well. So it's good for the younger fans to come in and see the women's team. Like, for example, me this season, I literally came to that Birmingham game and I was like, I thought, see what it's about, and then I was like instantly hooked, like on the men's side as well. So I was just like, as we say, just come and see a women's game once, and then if you like it, great. If you don't, then you move on to something else. But yeah, it's United, you just get instantly hooked on them. But yeah, I just think Old Trafford's going to be special Sunday. I think we'll definitely be making a lot of noise in the J stand. So I can Natalie and Anthony, I can just hear their voices right now in my head, just like with the chants as well. So I'm sure they'll be in full voice, and the Barmy Army too. And say, like you said, on the away support, it's just like, as we say with the men's side, the away support is the best in the country, and I think that's the same for the women's. And I don't think it's the women's or away support. I think it's, I say unheard of. I'm just thinking from seeing other clubs, I'm just thinking how many travel to their away games. It's like United fans will turn up in the most obscure places to watch the team. So it's going to be, good to see on Sunday how United do, and hopefully we'll be scoring lots of goals because we need to get City off our tail at the minute.
I think as well, just quickly.
Do you mind if I jump in quick?
Yeah, go for it.
I was just going to say on that point as well that you said about the kids and stuff. I had a conversation because my mate has got he's a few years older than me, but he's got 2 little girls. One of them's like 4 and one of them's like 1, 2. But he was just saying to me, like, he doesn't support United, he supports Leeds actually. So that's a bit of a
get rid.
But he was saying, like, you just wouldn't ever take like your kids to Ellen Road, would you? You just feel so kind of, even like you said, as a Leeds fan, you just wouldn't, when they're that young especially, you just wouldn't do it. But like he was saying, that's why like the women's game's so important, because his girls who wants to get into football, it's not like they just have to grow up watching the men's or going to men's games. That, there's actually a sport that they can get into in school and can work their way up to, and role models. And I think that's why it's important it grows and grows more, because then, like, you can have like my mate's kids, they can grow up and want to be footballers for Man United. Whereas a few years ago, when there wasn't a women's team, that wasn't the case. So yeah, I think it's just really important in that sense as well.
Yeah, definitely. I will come back to in terms of the players a bit later on. I was just going to follow on from what Andrew was saying in terms of the away support. If anything, signals how the United away support as an example. If you are watching this on the men's account and you've never seen the women's team or heard of the kind of support, Man United played Rangers in a pre-season friendly. It was just a friendly game, pretty irrelevant. One of the first games of the pre-season, and tickets went on sale the day before for a Thursday night game. It was either the day before or a couple of days before for a Thursday night game in Glasgow to go and watch United away at Rangers. And United had more fans than Rangers at that game. That's how many fans travelled up on a Thursday afternoon to go and watch the team. And that's the same for the rest of the league. All season we've constantly had the most fans there in the away grounds and things like that. So yeah, it's testament to the fans. And like I said, there's going to be a lot that turn out. Some for the first time, some regulars, some people that might have only watched them a couple of times on Sunday, which would be good. I just want to bring it back to Old Trafford because I see a couple of comments about favourite moments. So I'm going to split this into two parts. What I'll do. Well, it's going to be difficult for this season because there's not been many. I'll ask you each favourite moment of this season at Old Trafford. There's probably only I can think of three or four that spring to mind off the top of my head. And then we'll come back and we'll do favourite moment, obviously at Old Trafford that you've witnessed. You could either have been there or watched on TV, preferably have been there. But Alexia, I'll come to you first on that favourite moment this season at Old Trafford.
Do you know what though? In spite of everything this season, I've actually had quite a lot of amazing moments because you had the Leeds at home, which was out of this world. You had Newcastle, which was out of this world. The Villarreal last-minute goal, the Atlanta comeback, and then nothing for a few months. But then West Ham, the Rashford goal at the end, and then the Ronaldo hat-trick. So in spite of it being a really terrible season, probably one of our worst, was definitely our worst in the Premier League era, there's been some good moments. I don't know. It's really hard, this. In terms of the vibes, it's either Leeds or Newcastle. But the Ronaldo hat trick was so. I just had this moment where I said to this guy near me, I was like, God, we're just watching the greatest footballer that's ever lived scoring hat tricks in front of our eyes, So it's, I don't know. I'll probably go with Newcastle because that was Ronaldo's first game back, and we met Chris Wilder as well, Connor. So, I mean, what's not to like? Yeah, I'll go with I'll go with Newcastle just because that day was I don't know, it felt like a carnival, party atmosphere type thing, and it the first goal obviously was a good moment, but the second one was right in front of me, and I was and even not just the Ronaldo goals. I remember Bruno scored an amazing goal, and Lingard. It just felt God, we've got to win the quadruple. And then it's now March, and our season is dead. So yeah, no, I'll go with Newcastle.
Yeah, and it's interesting you just quickly mentioned the carnival atmosphere there, because Andrew, you can answer this as well as your favourite moment this season, but I have a feeling that's similar to what Sunday's going to feel like. It's going to have that kind of, maybe not, I think it might have that kind of carnival-y kind of atmosphere around, festival kind of atmosphere, I was going to say, actually. Festival atmosphere around the ground, kind of pre and post-match. Obviously, a win would help. But I think it is going to feel a bit like that. Obviously, do you agree with that? And then obviously your favourite moment and why?
Yeah, I was going to say I agree. It's going to be a carnival atmosphere, so everybody's going to be up for the games. Plenty of chanting going on, getting behind the team. And in terms of my favourite moment, I say Newcastle is up Ronaldo's second debut, but I think it probably is the first home game back against Leeds. The atmosphere was just literally on another level. I mean, the pre-match build-up and then getting into the stadium, and then I remember literally standing next to my fellow season ticket holder, and I said, "This is literally the United tweet out minutes before Varane signed for us," and I was like, and then I looked towards the tunnel, and I said to Graham, I think Varane's coming out, and I was like. And literally, as soon as the biggest noise from the whole of Old Trafford, it was absolutely deafening. And then, literally, when Alan Keegan just announced his name, an even bigger cheer. And then seeing Varane taking that, he got his phone out to take the selfie in front of the Old Trafford faithful was a moment as well. So, but also that game, seeing the way he played, the Bruno hat trick, and literally. Just demolished Leeds, and then I just thought after that game, I thought we might be onto something here. We might be winning a trophy or two. And I was like, those hopes and dreams faded pretty quick. And now it's top four even. Well, yeah. Hopefully we can get top four, but you never know with this United side. Can they go on a 9-game winning run? And hopefully the team's going to drop points. I'm an optimist, so I'm hoping we'll get top four, but I just don't fancy being there on Thursday nights in the Europa League, in the Conference League. I'd rather not be in Europe. So yeah, it's Champions League or nothing. That's what I think. With the women's, it's like, because obviously the top three in the WSL is Champions League. If you finish fourth, you get nothing. So I just feel like with the men's side, it's either Champions League or nothing. I just don't like the Europa League or Conference League. So Leeds first home game was like, the atmosphere was like on fire. So the only probably as good as that was probably the West Ham, when Rashford scored at the end. It was all like, it's like the very last 30 seconds, and I remember Tellers crossing the ball out, and I thought it's now or never. And then literally when that goal went in, it was like limbs were going everywhere, and it's like you just lose all sense of everything, and just like, yeah. So that'll probably be up there as well in terms of an atmosphere as well.
Yeah, I tend to agree with both those. I think for me, it's those two. It's Leeds or Newcastle for me, just because Leeds, it was we spoke earlier in terms of what Old Trafford means. It was that the first goal, because it was a release of everything. We'd been away from stadiums for so long, to come back to Old Trafford for the first time, full capacity it was, and to score that goal against Leeds, obviously, and to smash Leeds in the way that we did in that game. And Newcastle just speaks for itself. It was the Ronaldo second return. It was just, I've never seen an atmosphere like that, where the crowd are so 2-3 hours after full time, fans are still in the street. We were still there singing at Chris Wilder as he walked past with his missus. We all of those little moments just made that. And I will just say as well, if Jackie scores on Sunday, the cheer will be as loud, I think, as the Ronaldo return, because that has been long awaited. 3 years, I think.
That's why I think she's saving it to Old Trafford. She keeps like teasing us at LSV, like you're passing it and not when you should be shooting. I'm like, is she just saving the moment?
I'm convinced she's purposely not scored, because you watch, you'll be able to tell, because come Sunday she'll be shooting from all over the place trying to get her goal, because she's been in some unbelievable positions recently and not shot, and that's been clearly on purpose, because she's been like on the 6-yard box and tried to pass it from there, and it's like, I know what you're doing, trying to hang on for that moment. There's a couple. I'm just going to go through a couple of shouts for best moment of all time at Old Trafford before we give our own. Talking there about the first home game after we won the treble. I'm going to make some people feel old here. I was only 1 year old when that happened, so I don't remember that too well. Charlie's talking there. If I can bring a comment up, talking about the Van Persie goal, obviously against Villa, the last major trophy I get. Obviously, I know we've won FA Cup and Europa League since then, but if you're talking the top two, in terms of Champions League, Premier League, since then we haven't really had anything to come close to that either. There was one more shout, but I can't seem to find it, so I'll have to come back to that one. But Alexa, for yourself then, best moment obviously at Old Trafford that you've had. I'm sure there's been a couple over the last few years, and what you think yours is there.
It's a good question, because do you know what? Like, even though this wasn't, well, I guess it was a win on the way to us winning the league and the Champions League in the sense. My first game was when I was about 7 or 8. It's 2007-8 season. It was United derby. We won 4-1. I remember it was December. It was really cold, but I would say that was my favourite, just purely because I just remember obviously you don't really remember much from when you're that age because you're quite young, but I remember this day really well because I just remember just walking the ground and being like, whoa, my God, it's really quite overwhelming at first. And I remember this guy who was sat next to me and my dad just started like singing on his own and got the whole ground singing and everything, and it was amazing. And also as well, like the fact that, I mean, that team, it was just insane. Like Ronaldo and Scholes and Rooney, Giggs, Ferdinand. It was a really, really incredible team. So like, I would probably say that, just because like I think the first time is always the best time. I mean, honourable mention is definitely McTominay against City. That was like the route, like of the limbs, and the fact it was the last game before lockdown. That was out of this world, actually. But I think I'd go for my first one, just because like you still, like, the magic is really still there then, and it was a good season as well. We won the league, we won the Champions League, and yeah, I think I'd go with that one.
I think, just off the back of that quickly, I think that's what's good about this Sunday, because there are going to be a lot of fans that are going to Old Trafford for the first time, that are there for, they probably followed the women's team maybe since the creation or for the last year or so, but never really been to Old Trafford for a number of different reasons. Obviously, it's not exactly cost, it's not exactly cheap to get to Old Trafford nowadays. You compare it to the women's game, it's not even close. So there's probably a lot of people that are going to Old Trafford for the first time. So people are going to have that moment you just described there, walking into Old Trafford on Sunday, hopefully seeing a United win, and that memory will stick with them, especially for younger kids going in. That moment of I've said to a lot of people that are going for the first time on Sunday that you don't realize how big it is until you get there. And you walk out the concourse and you look up and you think, oh my life. And especially when you're looking up at the Sir Alex stand, you think there's another tier up there that you can't really see. So yeah, people's first memory is going to be Sunday for a lot of people there. And I think that's just going to be special in itself. Sorry, Andrew, I'll let you give yours there.
I was going to say, I'll probably echo what Alexi said. Very first game, I think mine was sort of going back a few years now, 1995, UEFA Cup, road to Volgograd. I think I remember the game, it finished 2-2. Peter Schmeichel scored the equaliser, and I was like,
oh, that's amazing.
That was my very first game, literally singing, shouting. I remember going to school the next day and I literally had no voice whatsoever. I was like, yeah, I've just literally sang my heart out that night. And it was like, to see that, because I think Schmeichel scored at it was just before injury time or just in injury time. It was like, obviously that game we didn't, I think Volgograd went through on away goals, because I think we lost 3-2 on aggregate. But I remember that season, it was a month before Eric Cantona was due back, and I was like, it's the one thing I'd never got to see at Old Trafford was see Eric Cantona play live, which was, one of those regrets. I never got to see him play live, but obviously seen him on TV. But yeah, I think from that season when Eric came back, we went on to win the league and FA Cup too as well. It was the League and Cup double Cantona against Liverpool, if I remember rightly. But yeah, that first game, I remember it was my auntie and uncle that took me as well. So I'm like, it was like hooked instantly, and it was like I wanted to keep going, but obviously being at a young age, I couldn't. Well, saying to my auntie, just trying to get tickets at that time as well. But and I'm just very fortunate to have a season ticket now, and I get to go to most of all the games, and like this season with been to some of the away games. Like the atmosphere in the away games is something else on the men's side. I mean, I think the best atmosphere I've had is probably Tottenham away. Literally if I remember right, when Cavani scored the second goal against Tottenham, literally that away end went. I was like, there's flares going off and there's people standing on the seats. I was like, so there's people standing in front of me, and I was like, I thought, I can't really see anything else that's going on. I thought, well, if I can't beat them, I'll have to join them. I'll have to stand up on my seat. I thought, I can't see nothing. So I was like, but yeah, so I'd say you never forget your first game. So, and it'll be like that as you said, for a lot of people going to Old Trafford this Sunday. So it's going to be special for a lot of people.
Yeah, 100%. And I think for me, I think it's kind of a recurring theme here that first games seem to be the one, as John's saying, their first game is 72. I think that it's going to be the same for me. My very first game, and what I get, it wasn't even a good game, but when I say which game it was, you followers of the men's fans will know it was Man United Newcastle in 2005, so I was 7, and it was the famous Wayne Rooney volley right in front of the Stretford end, where he's literally arguing with the ref. 2 minutes later, he's absolutely leathered it into the top left. I was right. You can actually see me, a little baby 7-year-old me, in the Stretford end. I'm right behind the goal on that one. So that was my very first experience of Old Trafford, and I wasn't going to get a better one than that.
You peaked after your first game, I think.
I know. Like I said, that was like you said, at 7 years old, you don't remember, absolutely loads, but I remember that. All right, I certainly remember that one. And yeah, there's been some good moments. Obviously, recently there was some talk earlier. Ali said there the Sir Alex retirement game, the last game there as well. Some older shouts as well, but. Yeah, the reoccurring theme I think with Old Trafford, it just generates those memories, and it's like Andrew, you said it earlier, it's the people around you as well. And come Sunday, you might be around your family, friends, and all these kinds of things, and you might get to see a Jackie goal, which will really set the roof off. I just want to move on to briefly talk about the kind of the promotion coming up to this game, and obviously Old Trafford has been transformed for this weekend. A lot of new boardings that have gone up. Obviously, all of the player boardings around Old Trafford in front of outside East Stand, behind the Trinity statue, and all around there. Obviously, the face of East Stand has completely changed as well. And Lexi, I just want to come to yourself for somebody who's going to be new into the women's game in terms of what you've thought on all of that, and kind of should that stay in and around Old Trafford, that we should have kind of boardings and these kinds of things around Old Trafford of the women's team as well as the men's side?
Yeah, we should. I mean, it's kind of the thing that I think the issue is that it's just so negligent that we don't have something like City have, where you could have all the advertising and the stadiums like next to the main stadium. That really needs to happen, I think, because it's really, I think the reason this is a lot of people's first game is, like for me, like to get there to Leigh Sports Village, it's difficult. Like, cause I don't drive, so like it's really like, because it's just off a motorway type thing, isn't it? So it's really difficult to get to. Whereas obviously Old Trafford, I just get on the bus for 10 minutes and it's connected to transport. So I think they really, really need to improve that. In terms of like, obviously, like advertising, definitely. I 100% agree. They should keep the boardings up, but they also just need to make it more accessible for people, because if you had it like at Old Trafford every week or somewhere in the centre of Manchester, a decent location every week, like I think you'd get so many more people who would like, those people go, no, I don't know, they'd go because they're like, well, look at the location, it's easy to get to, it's easy to get back home. So I think that's important. But I think Sunday. I think Sunday is just, it's going to be a very big deal in the sense that obviously for the players, like it'll probably be quite surreal for them seeing all the boardings up. And we were just talking about kind of first memories and all that kind of thing. I think one of you said about this earlier, but like a lot of like people who are going, who are probably maybe some like, people who like our age at our first game, like young kids, be a really big deal for them. And that's what it's all about. It's like creating those memories with people. Like, I don't know. I think that's why football's really special. It's like creating those memories. Like this season, like we've had some amazing games, and someone I've been to, my friend, who's like, he's moving away and stuff. So like, even when we can't see each other anymore, we still have those memories and stuff. But yeah, no, so that was a really long way of saying they should keep the boarding up, but they just need to build another stadium, man, because Leigh Sports Village is just too far away.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I think it was Mary Earps did. She's done some brilliant stuff this week, by the way. Anyone who follows the women's team will know, obviously, about Mary Earps, and the stuff she's put out this week is actually really, really good. But she put a post out that was quite. It was a strong message actually in terms of, I think she said something. I'm going to misquote. I think I'm going to misquote this slightly, but I think what she said was, from being banned from playing football at school to now being on the being on the side of Old Trafford. It was something like that. And seeing a message like that, it is very important to younger girls, especially, to see that. Because as people know, 2018, obviously the women's team came in. We had an academy before that, but these girls had to leave. Kate Zellum obviously did it, and the likes of players like that had to leave and then come back because there wasn't that pathway there. And I would find that very surreal, walking past Old Trafford and seeing your face on the side of Old Trafford in a United kit. I couldn't even begin to imagine what that feels like. So, Andrew, just talk to me a little about that then, in terms of, just how you've seen it in terms of how they've promoted it over the last few weeks in and around Old Trafford, and what they can do to maybe keep that board, the board, maybe not keep every single one, because they are going to have to change it, obviously, after the weekend. But what can they do to keep kind of the women's team in and around Old Trafford?
It's difficult. I was going to say, yeah, in terms of like the boards with the players on, they can keep a few of them alongside the men's, because the women's are a part of our club. So, and say on Old Trafford when the men's are playing, other fans can say, "Oh, we do have a women's team as well." So, and I just think, I know, with like on the East Stand they have like the different things they put up, and now the women are being included as well. And I just think, obviously, United have ramped up the promotion this week because it's the game, but I just feel like before that, I feel like it was a bit of a trickle. Now it's like, I just feel like, I know you don't want to too heavily advertise it too early, but I just feel like it could have been slowly and just build it up and then come to this week. But I just think on the next point, we definitely probably do need like a stadium where it can house the women and our youth teams as well. But whether United would ever consider this idea, I'm just thinking people with LSV and the transport wise, United could run like shuttle buses from like Old Trafford for people that want to go to LSV, and then that way you can get more fans into watching the women's team. I just think United would like to see more fans at LSV supporting the women. So, and then why can't they offer that sort of a solution for those people that live in Manchester as well and want to get to Leigh Sports Village? So, but whether I see United doing that, I don't know. It's like the women's team is growing each season. I mean, if you look at like the broadcasting deals, and I think Mary Earp said it in I think her interview to 90 Minutes, saying each season seems to be getting bigger and better, and all the attention's being now focused on the women's game, which it definitely needs. And I just think, I feel like at some point it will get to like the men's level. I just think I think we're in the ascendancy now, and like we've got the Euros this year with the women's as well, which is here in England, which is going to be, I think, another moment for the game to kick on as well. So I think it's all heading in the right direction, but I think I want United to be at the forefront of that. So, and the women's team leading that, and I say whether that's we still remain at LSV or we build a stadium to house them and like the youth teams as well. So it'll be interesting to see how we do over the next couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. I just want to talk about the kind of, before we talk about just last 15 minutes or so, obviously talking about our own, what we're expecting for the weekend. I just want to touch on briefly in terms of, obviously none of us are going to be able to comprehend what it's going to be like, but just talk about what you think it's going to be like for the players. Now, we've got a lot of United fans in our squad, obviously most notably Diane Caldwell, obviously a massive United fan, even likes of Jackie Cronin, Katie Zellum, Ella Toon, all these, Millie Turner. You could probably go through the whole squad, to be honest. I'd probably say 90% of our players are United fans. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the Everton players are United fans as well. A lot of people are not taking that into consideration. I think that yes, it's a big occasion for these United girls, and it is, obviously, playing for Man United at Old Trafford. But I think for these Everton girls as well, coming across, it might be the first and only time they get to play in a stadium like this. Obviously, they've played at Goodison this season as well. But just come to you, Alex, first. You can answer it as briefly as you want in terms of what, I don't know whether you've done the museum tour and things like that, and you get that moment where you can walk out of the tunnel, they play fake crowd noise and that kind of thing, and you get the feeling almost of what it's like. What you think it's going to be like for the players? Because, like I said, there's some real hardcore United, and some of the posts this week have been, it is quite emotional seeing them kind of die hard, and they get to live their dream on Sunday. What do you think that's going to be like for them walking out and just hearing the songs they hear every week, but with 30-odd thousand fans there in the theatre of dream?
Well, yeah, it's the kind of thing, I don't know if anyone else does this, but sometimes when I'm in the shower or I'm trying to get to sleep, I just start you go down this weird rabbit hole of things, and you start thinking about different scenarios in your head that aren't realistic, but you just think about them, and that's one of those that you think about. That kind of thing. You just always think, God, imagine playing at Old Trafford one day. Just imagine it. I don't know. Do you know what though? I don't. This is on topic, but it's kind of a wider point. I don't know how players the players on Sunday and the academy lot on Rashford and that. I don't know how you can go from being in the crowd to on the pitch and cope with it, because I just wouldn't be able to comprehend that. Oh, I used to sit over there and I'm now on this pitch in front of all these people. It's just such an insane. Do you know what I mean? It's just such an incredible thing, and that's what a lot of the players will feel like on Sunday. They probably won't be able to comprehend the fact that my God, we're actually playing at Old Trafford now. This is a real thing, because it's just, I don't know. It's the biggest stadium in England club-wise. So yeah, it's one of those dreams. It's going to be pretty surreal for them, I think, and I don't blame them if they're a bit overawed, because I know most of us would be, and I think we always see it, from the men's side when you see kind of I don't know, Rashford making his debut, or Class, I was going to say someone else, but I can't say his name. Class of '92, Dean Henderson, you know what I mean, all the McTominay, all the academy lot. It clearly means something more to them. We're going to see that with the players on Sunday, especially the ones like you said who have been supporting United their whole lives, have been posting stuff. It's going to be one of those yeah, we've done well in life. We've look at how far it's all come,
And Andrew, I'll put same question, but I'll put a little different spin on it in terms of, as I said, this isn't the first time they've played at Old Trafford, but it is going to be the first time in front of fans. Obviously, we played there last year behind closed doors. Do you think that is going to make it a bit more special for them, the fact that they're going to have, fans there watching them and cheering them on? Because it's not the same. Well, I wouldn't know, but it's not the same, I wouldn't have thought, behind closed doors to compare to 30-odd thousand that it is rumoured to be there. And for the likes of, like Ellie said there, and I've just mentioned those two players in particular, Jackie and Diane, and I said you can go through the whole team that are probably going to be starting on Sunday. For those kinds of players, it is going to be incredibly special for them, isn't it?
Yeah, for all the players. I mean, I think Leslie Russo's given an interview this week and said, Old Trafford is nothing without the fans, and she's right. I'm just thinking, and obviously last season I think she was injured, so she couldn't actually play at Old Trafford even when there was no fans. So, and she said, she's hoping to see obviously us fans that go regularly to be there, but also a lot of new fans to come in as well. So, and also Diane Caldwell, she said, well, my eyes lit up when I knew he was going to be playing at Old Trafford. She said it was just one of the first things she said, when signing for this great club, it's just she said it's going to be a real special moment. I think it's for all of them as well. I'm just I think the players, I think they'll get spurred on by us, and like I say, they need our support. And start with looking at the men's side, when the men's team have not been doing so well, they've needed our support to lift them up and go again. So I just think with this game, the women's game on Sunday, I just think we're just going to be right from behind them from the start, and and hopefully they come away with the 3 points, and we're all celebrating at the end of it, and with the Jackie goal too as well, because it'd be her being a United fan, it'd just be nice for her to see her actually score, and because it's been 2 years now since she signed for us, we have not seen one goal, and few games I've seen. I think the one I saw, she went really close, was the Birmingham away. She just literally skimmed past the post. It was like it's going in, and it didn't. But I don't know. If Jackie scores on Sunday, I think it's going to be a special goal, whatever way it comes.
There's so many scenarios. I think we're all going to be doing this leading up to Sunday. So many. Like I want Diane to score because I said, die hard United fan. I want Tooney to score, and I want her to link up with Russo so we can do a song together because Tooney messed it up. BBC. If anyone saw that,
did she get it right? I was thinking that's not quite.
She got the names the wrong way around when she sung the song. So I'd love to see those two link up. Like we said, we want to see a Jackie goal. I'd love to see Katie Zellum obviously get a goal. I want the whole team to score. What a time for Blundell to make get her first goal. It'd just be for anyone to score.
11-0 then.
I'd take that very much. We need the goals, to be fair, to boost the goal difference up. We'll just talk for the last 10 minutes then in terms of what to expect for. I'll put two kind of spins on it in terms of what to expect if you've never been to Old Trafford. And Alexi, for yourself, what you're expecting going in as watching the women's team for the first time. Obviously, I know you followed them on social media and watched a little bit on TV, but what you're kind of expecting going to Old Trafford on Sunday for the first time watching the women's team?
I think it will be probably the most pleasant experience I've had at Old Trafford in a while, just in the sense of like getting there is going to be a lot nicer, but just also, I don't know. I just feel like it's going to be just quite refreshing and different and something. Also, it's something I've not done before, so that's exciting. It's quite. I think the reason why I'm so interested in Sunday, especially, is like it's quite rare in football when you've watched it for so long that you can see something new. If you know what I mean, you can go to your local ground and see something new because it's like the song that you've seen it all, won the lot. But like it's so hard to see something new or something that's not kind of something you've seen a million times before. So I think that's why it's really interesting, and I think a lot of people share that kind of sentiment of that, which is something different, and it'll be nice. The weather's meant to be really nice, I think, on Sunday. I believe I can check for us. I think it's going to be really nice. I hope so. So, Sunday afternoon in the sun, watch a pretty historical game as well. Really historical, being part of history. I think, I think it's going to be brilliant. And it's going to be one of those things as well. It's going to be so important to kind of young kids that are there as well who, like young girls will be able to like look up to these people as the players as role models and everything like that. I think it could be really special. And I don't know if you guys know about the possibility of this, but I kind of hope it's a more regular occurrence, because why not just have more home games at Old Trafford? Do we know why?
I can briefly answer it, and then Andrew, if you want to follow off the back of it as well. I think for me personally, I think it's well, there's a couple of things. I think the Glazers are probably going to lose money off this. The fact that there's not going to be as many, I guess you could say, tourists, obviously, in the megastore. It's not going to be full capacity. There's not going to be that many people, spending money in the bars and all that kind of thing. So the Glazers, and I imagine the club will lose money off this. So that's probably one reason. The second reason I think is I'm a big advocate, and I know John is as well, in terms of let's pack out LSV first. Let's get consistent numbers. Let's get 10K consistently at Lee first, and then move it to Old Trafford, because I think we've all said if this was the Manchester Derby Sunday, I've no doubt the figures would double. You could get a lot of fans in there, but we could lose, and we got embarrassed quite heavily last time 4-1 when we played them at home. So, is that a good idea?
It's better to be kind of, well, not big, but in a literal stadium sense, it's better to be big fish in a smaller stadium than have a smaller capacity in a big stadium. Is that what you mean?
I think so, Andrew. I don't know whether you'd agree, but I think because this is the one thing I'm saying about Sunday. I'm really looking forward, and it's going to be an amazing occasion. But I do look forward to going back to Lee and going to Villa away and Chelsea away, because you have that kind of. It feels a bit closer and a bit more personal with the players at the moment, because that's the level it's at. Whereas Old Trafford, because of the sheer size of it, I think that is going to be a loss a little bit. They'll be able to hear us for sure, but Yeah, Andrew, I don't know whether you'd agree. Since you've been to the league quite a few times as well.
Agree with that point. Like the big fish in the small pond, we've got to pack out LSV first. But I just think saying like playing more Old Trafford. Because at the moment it's like obviously we had last season and now this season, but I don't know whether they could play more than once more than once at Old Trafford. I think there's like we had the men's internationals in was it October, November. You could play another game because it's like they have the big weekend in that November period, if I remember rightly. You could have, if United are not, we're not away to somebody, if we're at home, we could have it. But I don't know whether, if I remember rightly, was it this season we couldn't have a home game there because Old Trafford was hosting the the Super League Grand Final, because they can host that as well. So it was like, I think that's probably another reason why you can't have it in that. But I don't know. I'm not sure whether we did have it at Old Trafford this season, the Super League Grand Final. I can't remember. But I don't know whether that could be a reason why we can't have another game, a second game at Old Trafford. But I just think with LSV, so we just need to generate the interest there first, get more new fans coming in, and then I can see there is demand for it. As you said, the United are losing money off this, and obviously it's the men's side. Well, what the money generated from that is funding the women's team. So essentially, they're not making any money off the women's team yet. But I think that will change in the future as well. So, but yeah, it's about growing the game now, and like saying the women's game being taken forward as well.
Yeah, 100%. I do think, though, if we do get Champions League, I do think they'll put some of the Champions League games on at Old Trafford next year.
Depending on who we're drawn against as well. So
yeah, we don't want. Well, obviously, City. That's the weird thing for people who don't watch the women's game. You can get third and second place going to a playoffs to get into the Champions League. It's only the top team that actually go automatically in. As with what happened with Man City, they qualified for Champions League last season. A load of players chose City over United, and they got knocked out in the qualifying round and didn't even make the Champions League. So it can happen, So yeah, I'd like to see that if we do get Champions League, I'd like to see the Champions League games there next season. Arsenal have done it. We've seen that recently with Arsenal women's. They're playing their games, obviously, at the Emirates for the Champions League. So there's no reason, I don't think, moving into next season why we can't do that. Andrew, I'll let you kind of finish off then in terms of what you're expecting, because obviously we're both regular women's team goers. I was trying to think of a way of explaining regulars, I was going to say, but anyway, you know what I mean. What are you kind of expecting come Sunday then, in terms of just anything around the game, kind of performance wise? Whether do you think the players might get a little bit phased? Obviously, like Alex said, they're going from, I don't know what the attendance was last time we played. Obviously at West Ham, it wouldn't have been any more than 1,400. You're going from that to 30k at Old Trafford. Do you think that could phase them a little bit, and just what you're expecting from the day, really?
I don't think it'll necessarily phase them. I think they'll be what's the word I'm looking for? Like inspired, like they want to put on a show for us fans as well. I think obviously the disappointment of drawing against West Ham. Can see that such a late goal. I remember Ella Toon saying, I should have done better. But like I say, these things happening, but we can't legislate for everything that's going to happen on the pitch. But so we've had enough time to reflect. Like I say, injury-wise, we've got a few more players back, which we have needed. Like Mr. Heady Lad in the midfield. So, and obviously the defensive situation now with Mannion, I think she's out for the season now with the ACL injury, and I'm not sure when Millie Turner's back. So it's going to be Diana Maria in the as our centre backs, but if not Maria, well, we got a new central defender in Katie Zellum, which she did pretty well against West Ham. I was pleasantly surprised because I thought West Ham would play on that and target her more, but for some reason they didn't, and Katie did really well. But I just think these final 5 WSL are like cup finals. We've just got to take each game as it comes, and just win, and just hopefully City are sitting in fourth when we come to the when the final whistle on the final game of the season there goes, and we're celebrating Champions League, and they're not. I'm going to say they're crying about they're not in Champions League, but I say it's going to go down to the wire, and I just think a lot might be riding on that Chelsea away game. But like I say, I think Skinner said it, one game at a time, and we'll see how we go. But yeah, I think in terms of the result, a result on Sunday, I think I want to see lots of goals, but I don't know how many we're going to score by. And like I say, Everton will want to spoil the party as well. So I just think maybe a 3 or 4-0 win would be nice to see at Old Trafford, hopefully.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, I'm not going to give a prediction because I really don't know. Come Sunday, but to be fair, Everton have played a lot of games recently. They've played City twice and Chelsea. You're not going to get a tougher run than that. We've had that. We had that in February, so it's flipped full circle now for them. What's early going here? 5-1. Crikey, I wouldn't mind seeing that, to be fair. But yeah, I'm not going to give a prediction just yet. I'll wait till Sunday for that one. Alexi, Andrew, thanks so much for coming on. We'll wrap it up there. Tickets are still on sale if you are still looking to go. They're literally £6. I think they're even going for less than that now. In terms of trying to get the sales up, which obviously trying to beat the Man City's little record over at the Etihad, 32,000. It's possible. If I look now, a lot of the blocks are sold out now, so it's getting close. It's getting very close. So fingers crossed we can beat that record, make the noise for the team, and yeah, it's going to be a good occasion on Sunday. There's going to be a lot of us there, obviously making the noise, supporting the team, and it's going to be a special moment. As Alexi said earlier, it's going to be a historical event for these players as well. But I think just the one thing I will end on, there's a lot of people, obviously, that was what I was just going to say a minute ago after the back of what you were just saying, Andrew. I think people are forgetting this is a very crucial game for us as well in the league. I think fans that are coming for the first time maybe think this is a little bit of like an expedition match. We're right in the middle of a top 3 race here of a must-win game, and win well as well. I think there's a lot of fans maybe forgetting that because of the occasion. So, yeah, I hope that doesn't, I think Skinner said this in one of his interviews, the players enjoy it leading up, but as soon as that whistle goes for the start of the game, it's, focus on the game then, because it's a must win. We need to keep this, get back on a winning run, because obviously we dropped points last time out. So plenty of content still to come. I believe we've got 2 shows coming out tomorrow, so stay tuned for those. Ben and Matt's one at 7 o'clock, which will be across both channels as well. So keep an eye on all of those. And yeah, we'll see you guys on Sunday for match day.